When we say general to specific texts, these are texts that move from broad statements to narrower ones. However, uh, starts out wide, it narrows down, and then later on it opens up again. So general specific texts are common to graduate student writing, which what you will soon become. It's actually comparatively simple, and it's often used as introductions to longer pieces of writing. So general specific text can be used in answering essay exams, in writing assignments, as background or scene setting, as a background paragraph to an analysis or discussion. Did I freeze up? Now, general to specific text can be used in answering essay exams, in writing assignments, and as background paragraphs on analysis or to specific text usually begin with a short or extended definition. It can begin with a contrastive or comparative definition. Later on, as many of these. It could be started with a generalization or purposive statement or a statement of fact. So here's an illustration. You have there's detail in support of the general statement that makes the discussion narrower, and then it could even be more detailed. But then in the end, it becomes broader. Okay, so you see, it's a funnel shape. Now, general statements are general statements of fact. They could be statements about a topic that are usually but not necessarily always true. And must be fixed. The science of artificial intelligence is vastly improving. Computer programmers are now able to create automatons that respond to humans in a variety of ways. New algorithms are being developed to deal with specific problems once thought to be solvable only by humans. Over the years, new techniques for producing artificial intelligence are being developed. So notice here, the first sentence is very broad, and then it becomes less broad for the next two sentences. They're much less broad than the first sentence. But then in the ending sentence, in the last sentence, it widens out again. Okay? Here's another one. In recent years, linguists have called attention to the possible languages. Estimates range from 50 to 90% of all languages will no longer be spoken in the next 30 years. This bodes ill for language diversity and for the science of linguistics. So notice at the start it's wide and then it narrows down, and then in the last sentence it widens out again. Okay, we have the third example. So I'm trying to give you as many examples as possible. And notice that in these examples, it starts out as broad and then it narrows, and but then it broadens out again. So the phrase language death sounds as stark and final as any other in which that word makes its unwelcome appearance. And it has similar implications. To say that a language is dead is like saying that a person is dead. It could be no other way, for languages have no existence without people. So from wide again. Another example, many countries of the world have achieved or are in the process of achieving many of the Millennium Development Goals and education for all targets set for the world in 2000 and due to be achieved by 2015. This is the good glass. This is the good glass half full picture. But many of these achievements have been the result of increases in nationally aggregated average. For example, in school enrollment, child survival, etc., which have masked what are often sharply increased disparities within nations. Glass half empty. By gender, ability, location, urban, rural, remote, socio-economic status, upper versus lower quintile, and ethnic linguistic status, majority dominant versus minority non-dominant. Thus, the world is becoming less inclusive, with the marginalized and disempowered becoming more so, and less sustainable, as many demographic, social, economic, and environmental trends appear to be going in the wrong direction. It is therefore essential to address the reasons for these trends and examine what can be done to fill the glass. So, the first sentence is very broad and it provides the paragraph provides more details, and those details are narrower. But then in the end, it broadens out. Okay, so that's what we mean by general to specific texts. Here's another example. One feature of human as well as other animals' behavior is that much of it is synchronized. Military folk march together, people sing in choirs and love to dance with others, all the time keeping in sync with each other and in ways that facilitate social cohesion. I have always been fascinated by such processes and especially how it is enacted in and prescribed for talk. In this opening chapter, I indulge the reader in how communication accommodation theory was born, how it developed, and what follows in this volume. So notice again, the starting sentence is broad, provides, and in the end, it widens out again. Okay? Here's another example. Although Chinese has the greatest number of speakers, English is the most widely distributed language in the world today. This position derives from English being widely taught as a second language in schools and widely used in international communication. English is also the second language of many people in the world. So wide, narrow, wide again. So let's talk about definitions as general to specific text statements. Let me fix that. It's not number 7. It's not number 7. Okay. Again, let's talk about definitions as general to specific statements. Definitions can serve as general to specific statements. Definitions could be glosses that give information about the term and are placed parenthetically in a sentence, signaled by such words as, for example, that is, or by phrases such as known as, called, or defined as. Definitions that serve as general to specific statements could also be sentence definitions that are short and sound like definitions found in a dictionary. However, there are what we call extended definitions. Extended definitions are longer and more detailed than dictionary definitions. We'll have some examples. So, a definition can serve as a general to specific text. English is a language that belongs to the West Germanic subgroup of the Indo European language family. It began its history as a distinct tongue in England around 500 AD. So here you're using a definition as the first sentence, the first or second sentence in a general to specific text. Okay, let's talk about words that signal. One word that signals definition is the word name. For example, the new species was named Archonicensis. So the word name there signals the definition. Denote could also be a word that signals a definition. It's usually used in notation. So, for example, functions are denoted using F. Okay, so that's how you use the word denote to signal definition. You can also use the word call to signal definition. Now, call is used only for introducing new information. For example, the new method is called activity-based costing or ABC. So notice that the words name, denote, or call could be used to signal definitions. And definitions could serve as the first sentence in a general to specific text, a sentence that introduces a general to specific text. Other words that signal definitions include known as. So here's an example. Another source of heat is the natural increase in temperature as the depth increases. This is known as the geothermal gradient. So that's known as to signal definition. You could also use the word define. By the way, class is the safest to use. For example, Giles, Borges, and Taylor define linguistic vitality as that which makes a group likely to behave as a distinctive and active collective entity in intergroup situations. We also have the word refer, but the word refer is used in academic writing, but only for a technical definition. Okay, let's talk about the parts of a definition. I don't know if you encountered this in Introduction to Linguistics, but the genus, that is the general class to which the item belongs. And you also have the differentiate. The differentiate differentiates the item being defined from other members of the genus. By the way, class, if you took semantics, genus refers to the field or the domain, the group of lexemes, and differentiate refers to the diagnostic feature or contrastive feature of a lexeme, that part which differentiates it from other members of the same field or domain to which it belongs. So genus and differentiate. Here's an example. Let's define guitar. A guitar is a musical instrument with 6 strings that are strummed or played. Okay, so the word a guitar is a musical instrument. But then, class, there are many musical instruments. You have piano, drum, xylophone. They're all members of the same domain. They have the same genus. So how do you differentiate a guitar from other instruments? Well, you use what is called the differentiate. The differentiate here is italicized. So 6 strings that are strummed or plucked to produce music. Are these are what we call general class. Okay, let's try to define the word diglossia. Diglossia. So, diglossia, a social linguistic situation in which two languages or two varieties of the same language are used under different conditions within a community, often by the same speakers. The term is usually applied to languages with distinct high and low colloquial varieties, such as Classic Arabic and Modern Arabic. So, class, the red that's underlined is the genus, it's the general class to which the item belongs or the word belongs. And then the words that are italicized up what is called the differentiate. The differentiate differentiates the item from other members of of the genus. So that is the way to define a word. You give the genus, but then you also give the differentiate. You give the genus is the word, the domain to which the word belongs, but you also have the differentiate, which differentiates that word from other members of the same domain. Okay, now here are some possible general class words or genus: method, process, technique, characteristic, device, system, material, concept or idea, approach, theory, proposition, is a branch of science, or tool or instrument, belief, situation. Okay. Now, if you look at the list here, you have detailed words which are on the left, and you can provide a genus for that word. For example, dictionary, the domain or genus for that could be book. Ellipse, the genus could be shape. Cancer, the genus of cancer could be disease. Biology, is branch of science. Or genus which it belongs is weather instrument. Diamond is a mineral. School is an institution. And Coke, the genus for that could be beverage or soft drink. Okay, because we are doing online class, we will not have an exercise, but we'll talk about the grammar of definitions. Here's one rule that we could use: use the when talking about processes. For example, pollution is the unwanted change in the environment. Phishing refers to the misrepresentation of a legitimate website using a fake version. So use the when talking about processes. And when mentioning the general class, for process you use the, for a or an you use, for the general class you use a or an. For example, a star is a celestial body that shines by itself by producing energy from atomic processes. A sole proprietorship is a business owned by a single individual. What is the genus of star? Celestial body. So you use a. What is the genus or general class of sole proprietorship? Well, business. That's why you say it's a business. Okay. Also, remove relative clauses that are composed of the relative pronoun and the verb to be. So, for example, you have this long definition. A wharf is a structure that is along a waterfront providing a shape for ships to load or unload passengers or cargo. You can remove that is. A wharf is a structure along a waterfront providing a place for ships to load or unload passengers or cargo. Now that's crispier instead of having that is. Okay, here's another example. Here's another one. Remove relative clauses that are composed of the relative pronoun and a passive verb. So, a theater is a building that has been specifically designed for dramatic performances. So you can remove that has been. You just say a theater is a building specifically designed for dramatic performances. So that's also clauses that contain has, have with the word with. Okay? A parliament is is a government body which has the highest level of legislative authority in a country. You can replace which has with the word with. A parliament is a government body with the highest level of legislative authority in a country. Also, replace relative clauses containing active verbs with the ing form of the verb. So, for example, you have a moon is a natural satellite that orbits a planet. You can simply replace that orbits with the ing form. A moon a moon is a natural satellite orbiting a planet. So that's a lot crispier. Okay? Also replace relative clauses containing can be with an adjective ending in able or able because able and able mean can be. So, heat is a form of energy that can be transmitted through solid and liquid media. You can say, heat is a form of energy transmittable through solid and liquid media. So, that can be transmitted, that really wordy phrase can be replaced with the shorter word transmittable. Also, it's so much good, beneficial to add a clause that will indicate the scope of the definition when writing to a more general audience. So, for example, in dentistry, enamel or enamel is a hard, white, inorganic material on the crown of a tooth. Of course, class, the word enamel has many meanings depending on the field. But in dentistry, enamel is a hard, white, inorganic material on the crown of a tooth. In geology, a fault is a fracture on the Earth's crust in which the rock on one side of the fracture moves in relation to the rock on the other side. Okay? So, okay. Okay, let's take a 3 minute break. Let's take a 3 minute break. So thank you for that break. Relative clauses preceded by a preposition. Common in academic writing is the use of a preposition followed by a relative clause. Preposition, relative clause. For example, a foundation is a base structure can be built. On is the preposition, which is the relative clause. Again, a foundation is a base on which it can be built. In grammar, the beneficiary is the constituent for which an action is done. So in this sentence, for is the preposition, which is the relative clause. In computer science, a bus is a device through which data is passed. So through is the preposition, the relative clause is which. Okay, let's try this one. So your choices would be during, with, about, from, to, in. In number one, a thermometer is an instrument blank which temperature can be measured. So type in the chat which preposition you should put in the blank. So the answer, class, is the word with. A thermometer is an instrument. A thermometer is an instrument with which temperature can be measured. Key to finding the right preposition is the verb. Which particle should you put with the word measure? Measure with. Okay? So temperature can be measured with a thermometer. Okay? Of course, you can use the word using, but that's not a preposition. Let's try number two. It's a process blank which sunlight is used to manufacture carbohydrates from water and carbon dioxide. So could you try putting the right preposition on the blank? Okay, you got it correct. In which sunlight is used to manufacture carbohydrates from water and carbon dioxide. Let's try number three. A credit bureau is an organization blank which businesses can apply for financial information on potential customers. So here's a clue, class. You apply blank a business. You apply from a business, you apply to a business, you apply in a business, you apply with a business, you apply about a business, you apply during a business. Okay, so the answer is customers. You apply to an organization. You don't apply from an organization. Okay, so the correct answer is two. Number four, an anhydride is a compound blank which the elements of water have been removed. So the key is you remove water blank a compound. You remove water blank a compound. Okay, very good. Correct answer. An anhydride is a compound from which the elements of water have been removed. Removed from. Okay, we have two more. An eclipse is a celestial event blank which one body, such as a star, is covered by another, such as a planet. Remember, it's an event. It's an event. Okay, I think you got this one correct. An eclipse is a celestial event during which one body, such as a star, is covered by another, such as a planet. Okay, and finally, number six, an axis is an imaginary line blank which a body is said to rotate. Okay, now you can say an axis is an imaginary line about which a body is said to rotate. You can also use the word around. An axis is an imaginary line around which a body is said to rotate. But an axis is an imaginary line about which a body is said to rotate. Okay. So the use of prepositions and relative clause makes your writing crispier. Okay, of course, we like things that are crispier, not soggier. Okay, let's try writing a general to specific text about climate change. Now, you can write a general to specific text about climate change using a definition. You can write a general to specific text about climate change through definition. Climate change is a phenomenon in which the situation of the atmosphere and the ground is becoming worse. Sea levels are rising, typhoons are getting stronger, summers are getting hotter, winters become colder, and more devastating weather patterns are occurring. Climate change is considered by many to be a desperate condition to deal with. Okay, notice with climate change is a phenomenon in which the situation of the atmosphere and the ground is becoming worse. That is a definition. It's broad, and then you provide narrow details. Then you broaden out again in the last sentence. Now, you can also write a general to specific text about climate change using general statements. Many influential people and scientists have warned about the implications of climate change. That's a general statement. And then you provide details like people, including children such as Greta Thunberg, have spoken harshly against governments and individuals for not doing enough to combat this phenomenon. Here's another detail. Scientists, using their data, have shown that climate change must be dealt with soon if the present inhabitants of the earth are to survive. And then it broadens out again. Many peoples of the earth should prioritize this effort to stop climate change. Again, many people believe that the prioritize this effort to stop climate change. So it's broad again. Okay? So again, you have a general statement that's broad. Then you provide details in support of the general statement. Then you provide another detail. And then later on, you provide a broader statement. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for listening. By the way, class, I will ask you to read an article and share about that article about the use of TikTok or YouTube for education, for teaching English. Now, for any questions, you could type it in the chat box, or you can give a hands up. You can write none also if you don't have any. That's it. Thank you very much, class. Have a nice night. Enjoy the rest of the night. Thank you very much. Goodbye.